back to Mutant Watch after it's
A
been six
long time.
months. A lot of things have happened. I have a weird ick right here. Anyway, so we're catching up with Regina, Rich Queen of X, and Dylan, Warp of Dylan, who are right there. You can see them, and they're from House of X, which is an amazing podcast which goes over every one of the issues of things releasing. So that's why Gabriel and I thought that was the best way to do a show about catching up with everything with Lost in the last 6 months. Because if we have something wrong, they have it right. So they're also the members of the House of X Facebook group and like moderators there with other people like our fabulous Ross and other people. But anyway, so we're gonna rock it. We're gonna talk about everything that we can. We're gonna try to focus on the newest comics that are releasing. And what has been happening in the past 6 months while we were sleeping and being abducted by aliens or something, and then clones, the things that happen to people. Either way, see you in a moment.
This week on Mutant Watch.
Okay, so for starting this show, and I think we have to start somewhere. I'm gonna ask first like taste based questions. So like, what have you been liking most about the new X-Men comics that have released in the past whatever 6 months, 8 months, whatever? And what are you excited that is happening right now? Because like we're doing this so right in the middle of Sins and Sinister. 4 issues have released, and there's 3 or 4 left, other 4 left or 5 left. I don't know. There's there's a bunch of issues that have released and a bunch of that left, and we're somewhere like right in the middle. So it's a good time to like keep up and like talk about our expectations and what weird things have happening in X-Men comics and how people who want to get into X-Men comics now have it, which is weird and freaky. Anyway, so whoever wants to carry first.
Gina, you can go first. Or maybe not. She's
Or
first.
maybe she can go first.
That was some
Oh.
convenient technical difficulties.
Regina, you can go first.
Okay.
Let's for tension.
There are. It seems like for me, there's individual stories I think I prefer overall. I've been really loving the Sabretooth books.
Oh no.
Same.
But also, I really love what's going on with X Force and Wolverine with the backstabbing of Beast. I really hate Beast right now, but I love the way that the story has been unfolding. So, like, for me, that's been like kind of my favorite parts of what's been going on most recently. And then this past week, spoiler alert if you haven't read this past week's comics,
Full
but we
spoilers
got
for the whole show.
right. So we get the return of Rasputin. What is it? 4? Is that which one
Yes.
she is?
4.
And I absolutely love her. Just her everything about her character has been amazing. So this past week was a great week for just kind of like the most current issues of what's going on and seeing her again and seeing what Sinister is doing. Like, what?
That's a smooth way to seg you into Dylan. Dylan, what do you think?
Things that I like that have been happening lately. Well, I mean, if you guys have been gone for 6 months, there was Exterminators that was outstanding, written by Leah Williams with Dazzler, Jubilee, Laura, and Boom Boom. And I love everything that is happening in the individual X-Men book and Immortal and Immoral X-Men. That has been a lot of fun. There's a lot of Laura's right now, so that's great. We cannot have enough Laura's. And Uh, 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 there's also a lot of things that are happening in some books that I don't necessarily like. Like, there's a handful of books I'm mad at right now, but uh, Akihiro has a new code name and it's Fang, and that's great. So, yeah.
I can hop in. So the one thing that I am absolutely in love with that I've recently discovered in my speed binge for this show is having Al Ewing writing Roberto again. It's incredible, and it is everything that was not there when he was in New Mutants or in by other people. This is such a useful, competent, impressive Sunspot, and it's everything I've wanted, and I'm so glad we have that back, or at least we had it back. Hopefully, we keep having it back. I have no idea what the post Sins of Senata is going to give us, but I was really loving all of that.
Okay, so to nobody's surprise, my favorite thing has been New Mutants in the past. In fact, I was so sad when it turned out to be a mini because minis are limited in time and I don't want to lose things. Like the first issue of the mini, like the New Mutants Little Legion first issue was amazing for me, and it was like very in touch with what I like about classic X-Men comics, while at the same time being very modern in like the themes and everything. So that's my major highlight. That I know it's not very connected to the rest of the stories. So now I'm gonna talk to the stuff that is connected to the rest of the stories. I really, really love X-Men Red. Like Gabriel said, like that was a fantastic run from start to finish. And Roberto was amazing in it. Storm was amazing in it. I even can forgive Ewan for killing Magneto a little bit. And and like I really like how Storm and the Brotherhood has started. Like this first issue is really, really interesting. It's one of the Sins of Sinisters issues that has made me more interested in it, especially because we have our unfathomable wives there, and I just love Raven and Irene. Like every time I see them in a comic, I'm like, and especially when they're the same person for a moment, like that whole like half mistake, half Irene made something to me. So that was nice. That was so nice. I also agree with Dylan. Like everything that's happening in Immortal X-Men and Immortal X-Men has drive the narrative further and made this whole mess kind of make sense. I do believe like this is like if you're getting into X-Men now, maybe this is not the best moment to like hop on in the middle of all of this because it's very, very like fun focused. Like there's a lot of things that are really funny, but you have to know where they're funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's fun and it's confusing, but it's confusing to us, and we know the story. So yeah, don't make this be a starting point.
yeah,
I
this
can
is
I can just
another.
imagine someone picking up X-Men for the first time and just seeing 17 Sinisters and just being like, what am I doing? And it's not new reader friendly right now. Maybe after this, possibly.
Well,
Possibly.
let me just throw this in there. My first personal purchase of an X-Men comic was, I think, part 3 of 4 of Blood Ties, which was published in like 1993. And I had no idea who any of the characters were. Scarlet Witch was on the cover. Captain America was on the cover. I was like, who was Crystal? Who was Luna? Who are these people? But
And you still
knew
stuck
enough.
around.
Yeah, I knew enough to get me through it, and it's been a love affair ever since. So maybe somebody can pick it up and just be like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to Wikipedia the crap out of this, and I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, maybe. The whole thing is like if you do that, you gotta make sure you read Powers of X. Because otherwise, like this whole like Moira's coming back to life and like Sinister like into the future and the whole storyline is just too much if you don't even know have like the reference of what the fuck is Dracula.
I
Uh,
I actually do disagree with that a little, and I do think
Okay.
that Immortal X-Men in and of itself did a good job of like laying things down, so it
Mhm.
kind of showed you all that stuff. Like you're not going to fully
Mhm.
understand what's going on, but I think that someone jumping in Immortal X-Men is a good place to start instead of going back 3-4 years and having to live through X of Swords.
No, I was not saying that this should read X of Swords. I was saying that this should do what Regina has said. Wikipedia
Mm.
the shit out of it, and then read House of X, Powers of X, just to know like the whole deal.
No
House of
one
X, Powers of
is.
X, and Jump.
No one
Yeah,
is saying you should read X of Swords. Like
yeah.
we're
No
not
one is
saying that in
ever
this show.
recommending that ever.
That is mean. That is just mean. I'm trying to bring new people to Mutant Watch, not to bring people farther away.
I, I'm
Um,
I'm just saying there's a lot of haters out there, so I don't know. Maybe being mean is the best way to gain an audience.
that's tough, Gabriel. That's tough. Anyway, so
So
yeah. Oh,
s-
okay.
I actually have a question then, kind of jumping off of that
Hey.
and bounding into the hating. What was your least favorite thing that happened over the past couple of months? Whether character, plot, storyline, anything.
I'm going first this time because I am the most hateful one on our show in the past year. Um, Everything that has to do with Marauders bothers me.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it's a weird, wild ride. And just when I was ready to just be like, I don't know how I feel about this, they had to go and pull one of my favorite characters in the entirety of the X-Men canon and just pluck her right out of obscurity and put her front and center. And if you're giving me back Wicked, I will forgive anything. So they just dangled that in front of me, and I'm like, I guess I'm a Marauders fan now again. So here we are.
I can usually, like, if I had to, like, cut Marauders into, like, tenths, in every issue, I can find at least 1/10 that I like, and then the rest, I can't.
I think Marauders is the weakest link for me. There's things that are going on that are, again, really important. And like some of these characters have transitioned over to Bishop's book, and I like that. And I like them way more in Bishop's book than I did in Marauders because it was just so difficult. Some of the aspects of the art, I think, detracted from the story instead of giving a better balance to the story, and it was just really confusing and convoluted, and I could never really get into it.
And I just want to say real quick, I think Regina and I are just so hard on Marauders because it's the book that we were the most excited for and we root for the most because it's out of all the team books right now, it is the one book that has more non-white characters than everyone else. It has more queer characters than any other team. It has it has everything that we want except for a story that we want. And it bothers us.
Yeah. With Marauders, what I struggle with the story is I feel like I'm stupid. It just keeps throwing these things out with like time travel and what can work and what can't work, and like things happening because they already happened, and then like things that happened in the past and the first mutants, and it's a lot of stuff that are thrown at the reader, and I'm not catching it all. And it's confusing to me. And there's a couple of other stories, and that's kind of what my least favorite thing is that there's a lot of stories that I think are too high concept, and I don't think they get pulled together well. And I do think that specifically in Marauders, it hasn't got maybe it will get pulled together because I don't think that one's done yet. But we're not there yet, and it's hard to grasp it for me.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I have mostly avoided the books that I knew I was not gonna like. So that's a problem with Mutant Watch in general. I'm uncovering my blind spots, cause like talking about blind spot, cause like I have not read Legion of X yet. I have Gabriel for that, and I have the feeling that I'm not gonna like it a lot because I have started like read Nightcrawlers, and it's the one that I have like the least from the Sinister thing, and it's because I don't know. I used to like Cy Spurrier writing so much, and each year that passes, I'm like more on edge about the whole thing. And I know it's because he did that thing with like, oh shit, I can't remember the names of the characters, but like the lesbians. He did that thing with the lesbians
Oh,
fucking in their head and all of that, and that was pretty
Loa
gross to
and
me.
Mercury, where they had
Yeah,
the
that
weird.
was one of the worst scenes I have read in my life. So not to be tough, but I know that shapes a lot of how I see his books. And for the record, I loved his Legion run way back in the day. So like, it's not that I like don't like his style of writing usually, but it's the things that you all said. It's not confusing per se, because it's not confusing per se like Marauders, like other, like you can understand it. But the whole thing with like a bunch of nightcrawlers and they're more nightcrawlers, and then like the ghost, right, the ghost spirit of whatever, and like all those things just hurt my head a little bit. And I am and the religious undertones, I am not buying them a lot. I don't see them. I'm not sure if Sai is religious or not. I have no idea. But like they don't seem to come after someone who has like a strong connection to religion a lot of times. I feel like they're pretty cheap. And like that's my main thing. But still, I haven't read Legions of X. I don't know if I read like 2 issues or something like that, and then I skipped to Nightcrawlers with Gabriel summing up the whole thing to me. So
Yeah,
so
Tuna sent me a message asking what was going on, and I was like, well, so Banshee's kind of a ghostwriter, and I guess Juggernaut is his vehicle, but that may not be a thing anymore. And Angel's an angel demon, and Nightcrawler's a Nightcrawler demon, but I don't know if any of that is permanent, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on either. But I did read it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was just going to say, Duna, don't feel bad, because I believe I can speak for Regina and I both. If we had to make a list of the things that we do not like, it is Marauders, and then it is anything that Sai is doing right now, and then other things. So
yeah, and Regina, because I think you're religious. What do you think of like how Sai is like talking those topics? Because I feel weird. If you don't mind me
yeah.
asking.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't think he understands really how Nightcrawler's faith informs his character. And so there's a lot of things that are a really hard miss. And I think that you can tell Sai is just like screw Catholics. And I mean, me too. I'm Catholic and I'm like screw Catholics. But the way that he's going about it with Nightcrawler specific character, I think just does not really work. But on the flip side, he really does some amazing work with David Haller and Xavier.
Mm, yeah.
I'm reading the book and I'm touching the Nightcrawler stuff and I'm like, nope. And then I get to the David stuff and I'm like, yep. So it's like there's some things he does really, really well. And there's some things that he just really, really misses really hard. But also like some of the concepts that he's using. And again, it's kind of like with Marauders. There's these really amazing concepts, but the way that they're being executed doesn't work well enough for the story. So that's one of the quibbles that I have with this book, because it's like I open the book fully knowing I'm going to enjoy part of it and despise the rest of it. So it's a really weird dichotomy that he's got established there.
yeah, every time we review Legion of X, once we get done, I'm like, I hate this book. I don't understand what's happening. This. And then Regina's like, well, the David part was really good. And then she can talk for about 20 minutes about the David part. But then she's like, but the rest, no.
One
Okay.
thing
Oh,
about Legion of X that irked me, and it's such a minor thing, but like I get that he's doing this weird thing with Nightcrawler and his faith, and like Regina, like you said, it's like it doesn't fully grasp how Faith played the role with Nightcrawler, while also then you have Dust in the background who's involved with all of this, and she is another character who her Faith had played a pretty big role on it, and we don't even get a whisper. And it irks me because I love
It's
Dust.
it's a huge miss for both of those characters, and then we just never really see Dust again. We know that she's doing stuff with the altar and the spark, but how her faith plays into that is never addressed, because I honestly don't think he knows how to. He just had this idea, I'm going to throw Dust in here and that's going to somehow make it more palatable, and it doesn't.
I think Dust is there purely for her power and without any thought to her character, which is disappointing because it could have been a useful kind of like side by side with Nightcrawler if he was going to commit to the religion aspect.
And then he made them cops. Basically, he turned them into cops, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
We already have a cop book.
Right.
I love that, Gabriel. Not even subtle. Eh, okay, so yeah, and the other things that I didn't like. Okay, I can with the main book. To be honest, I can't even get into it. The whole thing with like I don't even remember the name of the aliens. Uh,
Game World. Are you talking about those aliens?
Do you mean the Brood?
the Brood, the
Oh.
whole thing with the Brood was like a lot, and there was one panel there where Liliana was very happy, and I'm like, I'm so happy to see Liliana so happy, but I didn't mind any of the other things in the story, and like, and also I do wanna say, like, so far, Sins of Sinister, my least favorite panel, and this is gonna be a controversial choice, is the one in which Emma is like, like pulling Sinister by the neck. That was too horny. Karen, like, Karen, look, I know X-Men books are like that, but like, they usually have some sort of excuse. So yeah, but it didn't bother me in a serious way. I was just looking at it like, for real, for real. Okay, that's what we're playing. This is the same as the parody porn book that is gonna come after it. So either
It's
way, I think they're gonna make it easy for the parody porn book, and that is, I guess, a service to us all. So yeah. Anyway,
I would agree with you. It's a little annoying of a panel because it doesn't make any sense in the aspect of like, so wait, are they Sinisters or are they themselves? Because I could see that panel happening with Emma that doesn't have a diamond on her head. But what, and I know he gave some of them the ability to have a little bit more control of their conscience or whatever, but did you give them full power? Because that's Emma. Well, take this diamond off her head because that's Emma doing that. That's not a Sinister Emma. So it's a little confusing.
yeah, I was not a fan. I stood being a fan, but I was not a fan. Maybe I do. I'm a fan by the time we end up this video. I don't know how this whole thing works. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so what else? What else do I have to ask you all? Oh, what are the characters that you think have like signed the most in this past 6 months? What are your highlight characters? Your characters that you're like rooting for them, and you can also say the characters that you hate seeing in the books if you want, because we love a good slandering.
Well, I'm going to go first and say that yes, the 1/10 that I've been able to enjoy about Marauders is the fact that there's been some growth with Dakin, Akihiro, whatever you want to call him. He did something where he killed an ancient Shi'ar villain, and it impressed Fang, who was a part of the Imperial Guard, and so Fang gave him a Fang uniform, and he has since started going by the codename Fang. And I think that's growth. I know everyone is probably still going to always call him Dakin or Dakin, however you pronounced it. I believe the correct term or correct way to pronounce it is Dakin. But to some people in Japan, that is a slur. So a lot of people wanted his name to be changed. And so he was kind of going by just his human name of Akahiro. And I prefer when the heroes actually have code names. So if he has Fang as a code name, I'm fine with that. So that's a highlight that I've had in the past 6 months. Also, I have a highlight that I love that's probably very controversial, but I'm glad they got rid of Shogo, and I'm glad that Jubilee's not a parent, but
My God!
she was being held back by that child.
Okay, let me just be
Wow!
clear.
Wow!
I will
wow!
be
We're
sharing a
live. We
room.
can't even delete this.
I will be sharing a room with you in C2E2, and you might not survive the experience.
You know what? Considering that take, it's understandable.
Yeah, I don't
Wasn't
know.
doing
I don't know
anything
how
in
I feel about
Excalibur when
this.
she had a kid. It's a horrible take, but we have Jubilee back.
You see,
Well,
I've
Is that a
I've not
mom now?
read.
That's why that's because it's back. Because moms are not people.
Moms are people. It's just once she had a child, they didn't do anything with her. They're like, oh, we can't do anything with Jubilee because she's a mom. So let's get Boom Boom instead. So, but then once Jubilee decided to leave her child in Otherworld, then Jubilee's in Exterminator. She's been in a bunch of X-Men Unlimited issues. She's been everywhere.
I think it's because
have
the
not-
writers,
Go
I
ahead.
don't think they know how to.
Oh
did we
no,
lose her?
Regina, we lost you.
we lost you. You're back.
Okay, I don't think the writers know how to make her interesting as a mother. I think that's
I agree with that. Let's see what the next argument is. Okay.
We
no.
lost you after you don't think the writers know what to do with a mother.
they're suppressing me.
yeah. This is
I blame
hard,
Moira. It's Moira.
It's Moira. Moira doesn't want Jubilee to be a mother like Dylan because they're both villains. And it's ironic that I'm the one saying this. I don't know. By the end of this show, I might agree with Dylan.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you just call me a villain?
Look for a moment there. Look for a moment.
I was like, wait a second. Did I misunderstand something in translation? Am I the villain?
I agree with Regina, and I think that Jubilee has had a long slew of writers not knowing what to do with her. That being said, I do like the very slow momentum she's been on, including when she was a vampire. And I know that's an unpopular take, but whatevs. And
Oh, I love her as vampire. In
I-
fact, like some of my favorite issues with Jubilee on them are the X-23 issues written by Marjorie Liu. That's
I love
Top.
Jubilee as a vampire.
yeah, that's top writing of Jubilee.
Regina
And-
hates it when she was a vampire, but I loved it when she was a vampire.
She was
So
in a couple
my-
of really bad books, but the X-23 book was really good. The other ones,
My fear is now that she's backtracked to not being a vampire, having her powers again, and now she's backtracked to not having not being a mom again. I don't want 90s Jubilee back. If she shows up in those
no.
damn booty dungaree shorts, I am gonna be pissed. Like
Yeah,
I
she's an
like
adult.
I liked her being a wine mom. I enjoyed that version. I just think that they should invest with Cocoon babysitting more often so she does more. Like, why don't they have a daycare? There are at least 2 toddlers on that island. There has to be a mutant whose skill has something to do with babysitting. They could have done it.
I agree. I think Regina is so right in the fact that like the writers don't know what to do with like motherhood in the books because they're supposed to be like action oriented books, and that really like makes the characters difficult to like be included in that way.
At least they didn't throw Shogo off a cliff. So, progress.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, since we're talking about Jubilee, before we move on, could we talk about the one really important thing that happened in the past 6 months, and that was the X-Men vote?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
We okay. Now it's the time to do promotion for your show. aside from go to watch House of X and to watch now, listen, go to listen's House of X. They're gonna release a YouTube video that we are part of with a gala in which we talk a lot of things, including the X-Men votes. So that's one thing that you should watch. Everyone was looking really good and really pretty, especially me. But like, otherwise, you should see that when we have that YouTube video out. I will put the link in Twitter, YouTube, all the places.
Yeah, the YouTube video for the House of X gala will be up, I believe, this Monday. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
That's great.
we
I
have
will
a
make
House of
sure
X
to like.
YouTube page. So yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So
So
yeah, the vote.
before we
by the
talk,
way, I vote for Jubilee. I said it already in the gala. I vote for Jubilee because I'm a nostalgic bitch, and yeah, that's the main reason. I stand by those words. So anyway, what do you all think about the vote?
I voted for Jubilee too.
But you
She
don't
was
want her to
she
be a
was the
mom.
she was the best option. But I don't want her to be a mom.
I voted for Frenzy and Jubilee because I rigged the vote.
I voted for Frenzy because she needs more screen time. Her potential has just been wasted ever since X-Men Legacy.
I agree.
Speaking of the vote, question for you guys. How do you feel? So we are now on our third vote. How do you feel about how it's been implemented? Are you a fan? Do you like what's going on? What are your thoughts?
I like the craziness that it causes with X-Men fans, and I love when we have the galas in the books, but I feel like nothing's ever done with the winners in the book. Polaris had like one issue in the first 12 issue run of X-Men, and Firestar has had one issue because they had an annual that wasn't even written by Jerry Duggan, and that's been about it. So I don't think it's been implemented well.
I agree. I think that's one place where Duggan doesn't always do the greatest job is writing a team book that includes all the characters. And that goes for his first round with the X-Men. Rogue had almost no lines. And then all of a sudden she's gone. Laura had a few lines and then she was gone. And so I love the discourse, but I don't love the execution and what we actually do once we have the. And I do think some fans take it a little too seriously. Like I have seen people ending friendships and I'm like, you have a problem there. But overall, I do wish. I don't know if Frenzy loses, I'm fine with that because she's probably going to be used more not on the team than she would be on the team. And that's really not a great commentary for voting for your favorite character.
Yeah,
I completely agree. I think for me, like I love the vote. I love that it's fans having the power to put someone on the page. But I think doing this whole new roster change when the people already on the team haven't gotten to do anything was a weird choice. And if they're going to do that again, it is yet another odd choice. Because like Sunfire, Rogue, like they didn't do anything. And to get rid of them again in the same way, like Iceman had the one issue where he was gay, and that was the whole point. Like, I feel like there's potential with this format they're not using.
Yeah, I think for the most part, they really kind of did it because they could see how much they could do with social media and how popular social media is now. And then they thought, oh, we could do that thing that DC Comics did 40 years ago where they had fans vote on whether Jason Todd lived or died. And fans
I'm glad they didn't do it that way, though. Like,
yes. And DC killed Jason Todd off, and it actually did something because he was dead for decades. So they stuck true to what the fans voted for. The X-Men writers can't even stay true for 3 or 4 issues to what people voted for. So,
I mean, I honestly forgot Sunfire was on the team.
Yeah. Okay. Gotta say one thing about the vote. I hate that every time they do the vote, there's like 1 or 2 characters that very clearly are going to win. Okay. I just know that this can happen 1 time without it being on purpose. 2 times? Ooh. 3 times? No. That's a no for me. And if Jubilee or Dazzler wins this one, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad because it's not. I don't think it's even our fault. I think it's their fault because they don't know how to pick 10 characters that are more likely like balanced. And you can't tell me there are 10 characters that are likely balanced. We have like the X-Men comics have the most B-side, nobody knows them characters of every comic ever. Like they be pulling mutants here and there because of reasons every 5 years. So like there's no
You know what?
reason. What?
Give me an X-Men vote with purely obscure characters. Like, let's vote for like Freak Show
Yeah.
and Flex and Gaia and Birdie.
Gaia.
And, like,
I would vote for Gaia like 1,000 times. I would program a vote and just like make that election like fake, like make them doing like 3 times until Gaia wins.
I will
will
vote,
learn how to be a hacker.
I will vote for Gaia too. And also, Gabriel, you're like the only person I know that ever talks about Flex. So like when you said Flex, I was like, wait, isn't there someone I know that talks about? Oh, it's Gabriel. Like I forget that Flex exists, and I only remember he does because of you.
That is my one true purpose in life, is to spread the word of Flex to everyone, everywhere. The forgotten, most likely child of Wolverine, and the best thing to come out of that family. Sorry,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yes. And most X-Men fans don't even know who he is because he was maybe in like 2 X books, but his most of his life was in the like 3rd
Alpha Flight.
volume of Alpha Flight.
Yeah, I
It
have
was
no
the
idea who
second,
you're
not the
talking about.
third.
Regina has no idea who he is. Regina's like, who's Flex? And she's like messaging me right now. Who is Flex? Should I know
So
who this is?
For Regina
Oh, no, I'm
and
not an
everyone
X-Men
else
fan.
who's listening and doesn't know who Flex is, which is probably everyone who's listening, Flex was a character in Alpha Flight who is probably the son of Wolverine and the half-brother of Radius, who is another character nobody knows, who is the son of Eunice the Untouchable. And they existed for like 20 issues, and then the next time they were mentioned was like a little piece of text in House of M showing that they were depowered. And then we never heard about these 2 kids ever again. And now now that I finally have Wicked back, I have hope again that maybe I will see Flex on Krakoa.
It's a good hope.
I
We
would
all
like to
need
see
dreams.
Creep on Krakoa.
Gabriel
Does
has
anybody
the
remember
only
Creep?
hope of this.
Creep, I know the name, but I don't know who Creep is.
I don't. Is he a Morlock?
Creep was a girl.
Oh.
She was a
Oh
Mexican.
yeah, she was from Alpha Flight too. She was
Oh,
from
okay.
Delta Flight or something.
She was a Mexican mutant who told Storm off, and her power was related to plants. And I love her.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, now I have to read that. Anyway, so what I was saying, like I feel like they always put like 1 or 2 that are so clearly gonna win, and I was bothered by it when Firestar was there, and also because like every one of my friends, Gabriel included, was like, no, maybe Firestar doesn't win. Who are you kidding? What can I? Can you be like more like deluded to think that they would put Firestar there and it wouldn't win? Like,
It was possible. I don't remember who she was running against, but I know there was one person I was like, it could be
I
someone.
don't remember who
It
it
was-
was, but it was like
Monet.
a
It was
what?
Monet. It was Monet.
It was Monet. I
It
did.
could have
You're
been Monet.
deluded. How
I
how
did
is
the.
Monet gonna compete over?
The
It's because you
gays.
spend too much time
The
on X
answer
Twitter and you
The
don't know.
answer is the gays, if they choose to mobilize, have huge power. Will Jubilee win? Highly likely. But if the gays mobilize for Dazzler, she will win.
That is true. That is true. But this time I am with you. It could be Jubilee and it could be Dazzler. But okay, so we had three votes. In the first one, it was clear who was gonna win, and I gotta say, in the first one, it was clear, but I understand that they couldn't see the whole Polaris movie thing coming up. I understand it. I have compassion for that. The second one, I was mad from the beginning. I was like, this can't be. You can't put Firestar. She was an animated show. She has free runs. There's no way to compete with that. Like she was popular before most of us were born. So like, yeah, all of us, I
Yes.
think. So yeah,
Yes.
so like, yeah, before all of us were born. So like, you can't compete with that. And she hasn't stopped being popular because of the amazing Spider-Man and his friends. Like that's a thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
this
I
third
don't.
one, I was like, yeah, at least there's two now. But how much do we have to wait till there's like three that can win?
Yeah.
Or
I
four?
I don't think we should count out though the love of Juggernaut, who has been in television and movies as well. So I think
Yeah.
I think it's honestly
Juggernaut
between
was in
Jubilee
there.
and Juggernaut. So it's just between those two.
No, okay. Then it's more fair. If there's three, if you are correct with Juggernaut, which could be, the thing is like most X-Men fans are girls and gays. So like not a lot of people are gonna vote for Juggernaut. Uh, unless in the vote in a horny way. But they could vote like, yeah, like it's not gonna happen.
I think there's a crazy amount of straight men that read the Wolverine books. So
There is-
Oh
and
yeah, that's
I
tell
think
somewhere.
I think most of them are like, wait, Juggernaut should win because I don't like any of these others. So
there is
they're
a
women.
there is a huge amount of like straight white cis men who are X-Men fans. We just have worked really hard to not be in that corner of the fandom, and that's why we see a lot of the girls and gays and theys, because at least I am hiding from the weird logic defying bigot corner of the X-Men universe, because it's real, it's there, and I don't get how.
but we should not hold that against Juggernaut
Maybe
because
there's
Not
Sinisters.
no.
we all know that he is gay for Tom. So we
Oh,
should
yeah.
not hold that against him. If he wins,
I'm
good
just
for him,
saying.
because then maybe Marvel will be like,
Also,
"Good job, he's gay."
Juggernaut is canon gay because
Yes.
he's the biggest Dazzler fan.
Yes, he is canonically a huge Dazzler fan. That is not a heterosexual thing to do.
Exactly. You can't be heterosexual and be the biggest Dazzler fan. Also, the way he reacted to almost killing Dazzler, that's fruity. I'm sorry.
That is exactly how I would react if I almost killed Britney Spears. So
I will
Exactly.
say one point in favor of wanting Jubilee to win is I think that a secret X-Men title that has Frenzy, Juggernaut, Cannonball, and Dazzler would be incredible. And I would love to see that one shot. I would love to see that series. Just those four.
Yeah. Okay, so that's on the boat. What else has been happening? Too many things have been happening. Oh, the Hellfire Gala is like coming up very soon, right?
yes.
Yeah, we have news of that. Okay, I'm not caught up on the news. I know there's gonna be an Uncanny Avengers title with Avengers. I'm not even gonna read that.
And
But like,
But there's mutants a part of
Uncanny.
it too. There's mutants a part of it too. Monet,
Which mutants?
Monet, and
Monet.
Psylocke.
Mm.
I love that response, Duna.
How did they put Monet in the Avengers? Oh my god, X Corps did so much harm.
I love Penance in the Avengers, and I love Psylocke in the Avengers. I'm kind of
Psylocke?
confused. Psylocke. I'm
Now
kind
I
of
have to read
confused
that shit.
about Penance and Psylocke in the Avengers, because when you have such diverse characters and powers, it seems a little redundant.
Well, I think they both use their powers in very different ways. So for that reason, I'm completely okay with it. But in the announcement about the Hellfire Gala, it specifically said, and I went on TikTok and made a post about it, that there were going to be impossible deaths.
And
Like,
and
what?
and Regina just you froze just in the moment you said impossible deaths, and everyone was
Impossible
silent.
deaths. Drop
We
mic
were
drop.
all like very tense about it. There was like tension in the air.
Dramatic,
It was like
dramatic pause.
impossible deaths. Oh my god.
Yeah, that because Regina's frozen again. That article and it mentioning the impossible deaths, and it came out with the Phil Noto cover that we got to see, one of the first gala covers, with a lot of the X-Men, but the weird club Sinisters there, but so is Nimrod. So I'm just like, when you put impossible deaths in an article and you have a cover with Nimrod, that makes it scary and great.
And it says betrayals too. So
Oh no.
I honestly, I gotta say, one of the things that I'm waiting for the most to happen in X-Men books is that they bring Magneto back. I'm already missing him. Also, the fact that in Immortal X-Men, Hope called Magneto Eric Charles' boyfriend, I was like, yes, yes. I said it first, Hope. I said it first. Yes, yes. So I hope that grows.
Real quick, I think some X-Men fans may have been saying that they were boyfriends before any of us were born. But yes, because they have been boyfriends longer than any of us have been born.
Yeah, that's true.
Alive.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
I hope they don't bring Magneto back. And
Okay,
the
well,
reasoning,
this is the
the
second thing. Okay,
reasoning.
first the baby, first Angelina being a mom,
Okay,
then
hold on.
Magneto not being back.
Let me give the
I'm the one
reasoning.
with the sinister thing, and
Let
you're
me
always
give
hating
the
like that.
reason. Okay, the reason why I kind of want Magneto to stay dead is they're not, in my opinion, they're not doing a good job of delivering stakes with all the resurrection. Like, we got Rockslide dead and back is Wrongslide, which was delivered well. And now we have Magneto dead and immediately jumped into Sins of Sinister. So there was no real impact that I've seen so far from that death. And then
We
it's
haven't
also
read the Scarlet
immediately.
Witch. I don't know if
No,
there's
I
an
have not.
in a
Okay.
Scarlet Witch.
And then we
Um,
also have Judgment Day, which just happened, where everyone died and immediately came back. And now we have Sins of Sinister, where we're, as far as I can tell, we're rocketing like 100 years into the future. And I'm assuming we're going to come back at some point. So it's a lot of everything's getting reversed. And I think that bringing back Magneto, especially bringing him back soon, is just going to feed into that. What's the point? And I get that it's comic books, no one stays dead. But, like, stay dead a little bit. Like, let me feel him being gone. So
I mean,
that's why.
Quentin has been gone, and now we're gonna get him back, but in a really weird way.
The thing about Quentin being gone, and I only noticed this because I've been binging all the comics. Quentin's gone according to the like narrative. Quentin's not gone according to the art. He has been in the background of several comics since he's just been gone forever. Like, he was on the floor during Judgment Day. Like, I get that it's probably just like editors mixing these things, but when the X titles are so cohesive and that's such a big plot point, I feel like, and he has bright pink hair. Like, that's, y'all should catch him.
Yeah, he did show up a few times during Acts. So
and he's gonna come in X Force as like old man Quentin, right? or
But
something like that.
also
Old boy, according to my book.
some of us were happy that he was dead and wished he would have stayed that way.
You just don't like children. I understand, Dylan.
C2E2, Dylan. C2E2.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that, but yeah. But I love Maggie. I love Megan's daughter.
Now he's gonna list a bunch of children in the book that he does like.
I can give you a
this.
list of children that I like.
He's like, I like how you like.
children.
I like how you like
this
Maggie,
specific.
who has appeared twice.
But both of their appearances have been outstanding. Tell me something outstanding about Quentin. I'll wait.
Oh my god.
I do miss Quentin. I will say it. I felt like he was going through character development, and I want him back. Deal with it.
I mean, I hated Quentin when he first came out, and then I loved him, and then they killed him.
Oh, has Quentin came out already?
Oh no, not that kind of come out.
Not that kind of come out.
Sorry.
Duna's like, I don't care about Quentin. Wait, did he come out? Maybe I do.
Didn't just sum up my whole personality.
If he did, it wouldn't be a shock, though. Honestly,
No, it wouldn't.
No,
He
it wouldn't be
was-
Ahsoka in any way.
he
Like
was
if you have read
basically
Generation X.
gay. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
basically gay in Generation X. So.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Everyone
was-
was basically gay in Generation X. I thought that was the point.
Except for Jubilee, because Shogo was there.
Yeah.
That doesn't make her any less gay. She was only
Yeah.
But-
I gotta say, and I'm representing Seal, our usual guest, who made a strong case for lesbian Jubilee, and as I'm representing myself also as a lesbian. If I was gonna choose a boyfriend, I would definitely choose the one that I can't kiss. It's a win for everyone involved. So like
just saying someone you can't kiss and will watch your child while you fight crime. That seems like a good beard for a mom to have.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just saying, lesbian Jubilee is still a hot canon that I stand by since Seal brought it up to the show. She convinced us all. So like I think Soyo and like Samber being there doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, wasn't there during the crappy second Secret Wars, wasn't there a Runaways title that had Jubilee and she was a lesbian?
Yes.
Okay. And
I
wasn't
love
she
that.
like with wasn't she like with Pixie or something?
Who is also recently come out as queer, kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. I hate X-Men comics. I hate X-Men
like-
comics.
It wasn't even an X-Men comic. It was a Runaways comic.
Yeah.
She like kissed or almost kissed Nico,
Almost
despite
kissed
Nico
Nico.
having a girlfriend.
A girlfriend.
And then they
Yes.
just never mention it again.
Yes. Yes, I remember when Regina and I slightly were like, oh, and Pixie was in a Runaways book. And I was like, yeah, and she was trying to kiss someone who has a girlfriend. So Pixie, stay in your
I was so
lane.
offended by that.
Well, I was offended by it because to go back to Duna and disliking Sai, he made that whole thing with Loa and Mercury, and it was like, wait a second, are Mercury and Bling open? Because Mercury has a girlfriend. Who are you, Loa? A homewrecker? Anyway,
No,
Well,
and
it's
I,
Krakoa. There's no homes to wreck.
I know
gotta
it was just because like 4 months prior, when X Factor existed, Bling and Mercury were making out on a couch, and then the next time we saw Mercury, she's making out with Loa, and I'm like, where's Bling? That's all.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
gotta
have you
say one thing. Oh,
ever,
say
have
Regina.
you ever not made out with a bunch of guys in like the space of a week?
We're not talking about me. We're talking about. This is not about me. We are talking about other people.
Yeah, okay. Since we're turning this into the gossip, Mutant Watch and no, I gotta say, I do believe like one thing that I do at one like talking about things that I want in the books in the future. One thing that I like and don't like at the same time is how Krakoa is portraying like open relationships and non-monogamy in some way. I do believe that it would be nice if they would put it in a text which has like letters on it, and you can put words. Uh, and there's some words like no monogamy, and there's some words that like help people figure themselves out, and especially people who are reading comics, which sometimes are children. And so it would be nice to have words in text instead of being like this whole thing of like, oh, they have
Yeah,
rooms
we're just assuming.
together
Yeah, we're
and
just
they're making
assuming
out
the
in this
lore
one
of them.
book and this other book. Like you wouldn't understand. It's just lore. Like I don't like that. So that's one thing that I really hope the X-Men books could do better. Like if they're gonna like anyway, yeah. And also, we were talking about favorite characters. I don't know. We started with Jubilee. I don't know if anyone else was. Yeah, I'm trying to be the moderator here, even though I'm the one that has made the most jokes.
Okay, so I assume you guys read Dark Web, and Madeline Pryor is one of my favorite characters, and she had a huge heel turn in her character. So that is something I am hoping to see more of. I don't like her with Havoc, but I will accept it if I get to see her.
Dylan, you look like you have thoughts you're not saying.
I, I do have thoughts that I'm not saying, but I love when Regina freezes because it freezes right after she gives a point, like her point.
Yeah, it's like it's making the rest of us think about it, like
Yeah,
really, like absorb it really well.
It's like punctuation.
It's giving Regina a lot of mic drops, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that the dark web thing was there was a lot of good things and there was a lot of bad things. It was maybe good for Madeline, maybe not good for Madeline. Yeah, that's what I was like, did I like what happened? So my thoughts were I was trying to process it again because I still don't think I've processed it to know if it was good or not.
Okay, Gabriel, fave characters, Sunspot, but anyone
Sunspot,
else?
definitely Sunspot. I'm just so glad to have the Sunspot I love back.
Hmm,
And I
he's
don't know if
great in
this
that book.
I don't know if this falls within the 6-month period because time is time, but I did enjoy getting Richter and Shatterstar back together again in Knights of X, and they had some really sweet scenes in that
Oh, yeah.
comic, which also included almost acknowledging whatever was Richter and Apocalypse, yet without acknowledging anything because X-Men. But I did enjoy being able to see that again.
Yeah, I think this also doesn't fall in the 6 month period, but I really like Rachel. Like finally, I think Betsy's a shitty couple for her, but like it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I have also dated people who don't make a lot of sense for me.
We
Uh,
all make mistakes sometimes, especially when we finally do come out.
yeah,
So
exactly.
this'll just be Rachel's really bad first.
Exactly. So, and in one, like, I was reading everyone saying, like, Rachel has come out, but, like, it's weird that it's with Betsy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I agree, it's weird. But also, have you considered that, like, the first person that you date when you come out can be, like, your perfect match, your perfect ship? That's just not realistic.
Yeah, no, it's
So,
just a
in that
test run.
way, I like that story. I am
Okay.
actually rooting for them to break up.
I
And
I'm just saying that your first date out of the closet, you could do worse than a former super spy, former fashion model, currently dressing in Step on Me armor. Like, it's a good first
Yeah.
person
No,
to
yeah,
kiss in
of
public.
course, she's hot. She's hot. Dylan and I are not talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, to be clear, it's a good choice from the point of view of like objectively a good choice. It's not a good choice for Rachel though, but it's okay. It's okay. Girl gotta do her things. She has to make mistakes and grow. And I'm here with in this journey with her, and that's one reason. Like, there's one thing. Like, I appear to be the only one that likes Karma and whatever the name of the girlfriend is
Allura.
relationship.
Allura. Yeah.
Galora. Yeah,
I like that
I appear
too.
to be the only one that liked it, and one of the reasons is like I do understand that Karma has gone through a lot of trauma and shit, and hasn't really had to focus. Like, if you read like Marjorie Leo's Astonishing X-Men, if you read like most of things Karma has been on, Karma hasn't really dated anyone. Like she has had her flings and things and whatever, but she hasn't really dated anyone. So this is like technically her first girlfriend. And so yeah, it was a bit clumsy and it was a bit weird and it was a bit whatever. But I do think it's a great choice that she just falls for some random like woman in a party and she's like, oh, I'm gonna have my first girlfriend. So I have had the same experience. So like, and in that way, I did like it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I know the reasons why. I know that Neil was there. I know, like, I know it's uncomfortable in some ways, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, let her have some fun with like a random like girlfriend who we know very little about. It's okay. We don't have to have the big sips just in the moment that the characters come out, because that's a lot of pressure. And then you have Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy breaking up after 3 issues. Okay, I'm even going to DC. Sorry. So anyway, uh, what else? Oh, I was gonna say my favorite characters on this thing. Okay, it's gotta be Escapade. It's gotta be Escapade. I think she's amazing. I think, and especially the new Mutants Little Legion. We're gonna talk about that this in the show for sure with the author. So it's gonna be great. That stuff is gonna be great. But like the new Mutants Little Legion first issue. Uh, I think it was amazing. Cerebella was in there too. Cerebella was also amazing, and I love that they're taking time to like develop a trans character that feels like really earned and that has a personality that is not being trans. And I really like her. She has ADHD like me. It's very clear that she has ADHD like me, and I'm like, yeah, like the whole line of like, I'm very good at standing up. I was like, I love you. You're just like me. And the whole thing of like, is this a date? Is this not a date? I was like, yeah, I know that feeling. So like, it's amazing. I would buy and get every book with Escapade on it and just put it on my wall. I'm rooting so much for that character. Um, yeah, I think that's it. And Cerebella as well. Like the work on Cerebella there is awesome. I think she has gotten to be such a better character than when she was no girl. And I don't think also it's like a really good tribute to like what Grant Morrison wanted to do in the first place. So yeah, I don't know. It's new. And Sabretooth. I didn't think I was gonna say in the year 2023 that Sabretooth has been one of my favorite characters in the next book, but here we are. It's our Victor Lavalle's like fault. I don't know
I
how he made me like Sabretooth.
Yeah, I completely agree. Victor, the writer, made me like I might have big muscly men that are hairy issues. So I've always loved Sabretooth for just looking at him. I have never loved him for any other reason. But now I'm like, whoa, I actually like him as a character. So I completely agree. Victor Laval has made me love Victor Creed beyond the visuals of Victor Creed.
Yeah, exactly. And like he has made it into a character that is still bad. We are still supposed to think as this person as like horrible person, but the book is trying to reach across the point that even horrible people don't deserve those things, and that's like it does such a good work in character work to like drive that message. So yeah, I don't know. I love Sabretooth. It's probably my favorite. Like with New Mutants are my two favorite things of this era. But yeah, what else? What else do we have? Future. What else is happening after the Hellfire Gala? We only know the Uncanny Avengers thing, right? We don't know anything else, or we know everything or something else. Dylan, Regina, you're the ones that do have like the news.
I think
Regina.
that there's going to be a major shift.
Mhm.
And she freezes.
Sorry, I know I froze.
Automatic
I did.
cars.
Going back to what Michael was saying about death and the resurrections, I think that's about to change. Just based on what they presented, I think we're going to hit something really hard and terrible for us. Great drama, but painful.
Yeah, the information that was in that article, and then also there was this past week there was a Marvel Unlimited X-Men 60th celebration for people who have like whatever the best membership is for them. Anyway, um Jerry Duggan was on there and he was talking a little bit more about what's to come, and he seemed pretty gloomy and doomy. And plus we all know that the next big event is called Fall of X. So um I think some pretty horrible things are coming, which is great because I love horrible. I love gloom and doom. Plus, we all know that the X-Men have always been gloom and doom, and like for decades been doom and gloom, and them having to survive, and that's when we loved them the most. And like these past 3 years, they haven't really been in doom and gloom. They've been having their paradise. So I think
I
the horribleness is coming, and we're gonna love it.
I do hope that even if we go back to doom and gloom, we don't lose what Krakoa gave us, and that is the past couple of years, the X-Men have been treated almost as their own franchise, more so than they have before. And the connectivity between titles, the connectivity between characters, and this both physically central location and just story-wise central location, I hope that we keep that. Even if things are less paradisey, as long as we keep that, I'll be happy.
I think that Steve Orlando, in his most recent Scarlet Witch issue, he really did something amazing, and he let the people in the book that were being victimized have a large amount of self-determination. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing I love about Krakoa is that mutants are, they've been just through a lot of crap, but they finally reached a level where they're having self-determination and guiding their own destiny and doing things on their own terms that they weren't allowed to have before. So losing that would be horrible, but I do hope that that's something else that they keep, in that we are going to be a people, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to forge a new path together. And I really hope that ethos stays wherever they decide to go.
Yeah, I do think this is funny because when we started Krakoa, I was not super into the idea, and now I'm gonna miss it. Just because one thing that I think this era hasn't had enough of, and that's why I appreciated a lot of New Mutants. And I'm talking about like the run, both the Charlie Jane run and the run that Vita did before the Liana saga, or even like before the Shadow, like the few issues that were just like the kids training and all of that, just before the two big sagas, right? Is that we had like just new characters or characters that we have loved for a long time, kind of like having fun and being in like this like a slice of life type comic with like a lot of like uh and I know that's one thing. Some of these days I'm gonna have to get Marvel Unlimited because I know there's like a couple of stories on Marvel Unlimited that do have the same vibe. Like they're like one artist that I really like. I don't remember his name now, but he did a Karma and Galura short story in Marvel Unlimited, and I do believe like there's like a couple of other stories, and also like the whole way like the Pride is to have like a bunch of like little stories of romance and all of that. I really like that. I really like the perspective of seeing characters that I know have had such a harsh time in their life being happy and like passing that on to new characters as well. That was sweet. That is really sweet. I'm gonna miss that so much if that is gone. Like, gotta be honest. As much as I wasn't like super on board when the Krakoa thing started, I know I'm gonna miss like the bits of it, those bits of it, a lot. And we haven't had a lot of those. It makes sense. I don't think that is a format that sells a lot of comics. I don't think
Yeah.
like just seeing characters being happy and like talking about their trauma and like I don't think that sells a lot of comics as much as I would like to think that's what all of us queers would like to read. I know some of us likes the drama. I also like the drama. I also feel like shit sometimes, and I need my characters to feel like shit because if they feel like shit, I feel less alone. But at the same time, I'm gonna miss those glimpses of like happiness and safety. Yeah.
And
If this gone, if it's not gone, then I'm not gonna miss it. Then I'm gonna ask for it.
Krakoa is not allowed to go away until I get flexed in a background
Oh
panel.
my god. We don't know if Krakoa is gonna go away. It's just speculation.
Yep.
Yeah.
It could stay around forever as
It
long as
could.
I eventually get my flex in the background panel. That's all. That's my one requirement.
I wanted to say before we move away from like what's maybe gonna happen or whatever, without conversing about it, because I can't converse about it. I do have something that I'm going to say, and that's just it. It's something that I do know is going to happen. So I'm going to be Destiny for a second on your show, and give you a tiny, tiny little thing. In the coming months, there is a certain family that is going to be in a couple different books, and it's a family that I love, and it's not just one character, it's more than one, and it's the St. Croix. And that's all I have to say. Moving on to the next topic.
I love this. I love this moment. We got exclusive now. But see, the new season of Mutant Watch is just like we're like going all of it. We got exclusives now. That's amazing. Okay. From here till
Luna's like,
Marvel.
what am I supposed to do now?
To assist with the subject change, one of my hands down least favorite moments over the past 6 months is when they brought back Icarus, Jay Guthrie, just for him to be like killed by Craven. That was it.
Yeah. But it was also fun to see Craven.
You've already admitted you have your taste.
Yes, and he fits into that taste. So that's why it was great to see him.
Oh, which characters did you hate? We haven't talked about the hating scene, and I feel like
Beast.
I feel like I have to hate more.
Beast.
I don't know why.
Beast. Beast.
Beast.
Beast.
I feel like Beast is
Gabriel is saying Beast.
Yes.
He manipulated Sage and her alcoholism so that way he could get away with a black site prison so he could torture and experiment prisoners. And then they all found out, and he continues to lead X-Force, at least in name. It makes... I like what Regina, like you said earlier, he's had a very good descent into villainy, but it has now reached a point where it doesn't make sense. Like even all the villains who had been on the Quiet Council, they at least have stopped doing active villainy, but no one is stopping Beast. And they keep catching him and threatening to stop him, but then he's free. And it's no longer making logical sense to me.
Beast has descended to sinister depths of villainy. And basically, this last week, that's who he is now. He is the mutants' version of Sinister. In addition to Beast, hate Sinister. But I've hated Sinister for a long time, so this is nothing new.
Yeah, I kind of hate Sinister a lot. I kind of like it though.
It's
No,
okay,
it's a
Tuna. I
joke.
love
It's a
him.
joke.
Every
It's a
time,
joke.
every time we record, she's like, "I hate Sinister. He's a bastard. He's a bastard." And I'm like, "I love him." So
I gotta say
Sinister.
one thing. I was at one point. I think it was in Immortal X-Men comic. Xavier was giving a speech. I think it was the last season of the run. And Xavier was giving a speech. And he had one point where he was like comparing mutants to other persons and specifically to like coming out. And he was like, a family can break because someone comes out. And I was looking at that page and I was like, I didn't know I could hate Xavier more. Like
I do.
I know this is totally intended on Kieron Gillen's. I think I know it's not making the comparison for real. Thank you. But like I was looking at the like I was like, oh, I can hate Xavier more. And then I arrived to the end of the East and I was like, okay. Okay, then the speech makes a lot more sense. Cause I was uncomfortable. I was like, there's one thing. Xavier is a terrible person, but he talks like he's nuts. And that whole speech, he wasn't talking like he was nuts.
But you haven't read Legion of X. So my
Guilty as charged.
impression from that Xavier monologue was that it was before he was resurrected, because he ends with saying how horrible his power would be if it was under someone else's control. And then we find out it's under someone else's control. So I do think that Charles is just that horrible. In Legion of X, Blindfold comes to Xavier and she's pretty much like, hey, your son has a lot of trauma. Speak to him. You don't have to get makeup, just have words with him, and it would help your child so much. And Xavier shows up and essentially poisons Legion as soon as he says hi. And he had an entire plan on how to mentally poison Legion because Xavier has written him off. Xavier is horrible. Xavier has always been horrible. He is the true villain of Krakoa, except for
Okay,
Sinister.
so yeah, so I didn't know I could hate Xavier more. I guess I hate him more than I knew already, which is it was I thought it was impossible. I thought it was impossible, but like it seems I have a lot of hate in my heart. But yeah, yeah, Xavier was kind of the worst of the whole.
When you look at how Xavier treats David versus Xandra, it's horrifying. Like, what? You are such a terrible person.
Yeah, yeah.
Zandra's a character that I want to like, but can't.
I
Like,
agree.
I feel like there's such potential there,
She's a
but
child, so I of course don't like her. So
exactly.
I agree.
Okay, one of the things that I like most about this show is that from now on, Regina and Dylan are gonna have the joke that Dylan doesn't like children,
Yep.
and I'm gonna go
Every
searching for
episode.
new House of X episodes just to see the reference to Dylan hating children and be like, that was my fault. I brought that out of him.
Thank you, Duna.
You helped you helped him find his truth.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done, right? Is there anything like we haven't covered? I mean, there's a lot of things because it's 6 months of comics, but like, don't get in my back because I know there's a lot of things, but like,
There's a lot of things. Yeah.
I think that's the gist of it.
That's all
Gist.
groundbreaking stuff.
you will have to read it for yourself if you want to. If you for some, please don't start reading X-Men in this thing. I don't think anybody has that idea, but please don't start reading X-Men on this thing. But if you have been reading X-Men for a while, I think Sins of Sinister is fun. I have found it more fun than X of Swords, which is not a lot to say, but more fun than Judgment Day, which is also not a lot to say, but more to say. But I have found it like more fun than most things that have happened in this era because I mean it's silly. It's silly and
if anyone out there does start reading X-Men comics, like starting right now, please live tweet your reactions and tag us, because I think that would be the most fun kind of chaos possible.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We would like to see that thread. Like we'll retweet every tweet. We have no fear of losing followers because of that. We can
Yes.
only gain them, I think.
Yeah. Tag House of X podcast too, because I would love to make sure I read that as well.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming again, Regina and Dylan. It's always a pleasure to have you both here. Like your favorite guests. Like no matter how cool are the people that we get, we always have a spot in our heart for you too. Cause like
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. And you guys are some of our favorite guests too, because we've had 3 podcast galas now, and you guys have been to all 3 of them. So thank you.
yay. And oh, by the way, I can come up anytime in your show to talk New Mutants, Lethal Legion. Like if you need me for that, that's the series that I'm like dissecting and like taking notes and like doing research and looking at papers to write the reviews. So that's what I was doing with Sabertooth as well. So like overworking much. Anyway, so thank you so much for real, and I hope we have Dylan and Regina here again, either separate or together for one of our other shows, like because you know.
When you have shows about children, have Regina. When you have shows not about children, I'm your guy.
Well,
If it's about a strong
maybe-
muscular
maybe
guy,
we
maybe
want
we
you to
maybe
show
we
up and
should
hate
invite
children.
Dylan. Maybe we should invite Dylan to the Sabertooth show, because you know, strong like. We need someone that appreciates a part of Victor that maybe not everyone in the show appreciates, and that is very important. We like the muscles and the arms.
Yes. I'm your guy for that too.
Okay, so that was fun. And for everyone watching or who will watch it this in the future, we're open, by the way, to people collaborating with Mutant Watch. So if someone wants to drop a DM and be like, I want to talk about this thing, we probably want to talk about that too, because we always want to talk about anything doing to X-Men and like any topic that could come up of X-Men, I think. I'm not sure. Like I'm open to doing a show about BDSM in X-Men. So like I'm open to almost anything.
Oh, the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, so like anyway, and we're gonna be back in April. This was like our return show, but we're gonna be truly back in April, and we'll let everyone know what the guests and the things and the special things that are happening are there. But it was nice to have Dylan and Regina again for like our comeback, because that has been the best way to catch up, because they read everything and post podcasts about it. House of X, you can search it. I said it 3 times here because one of those times someone is gonna listen and go for your podcast. I hope. And that is all. Not so subtle. Thank you so much. Bye.
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 Bye.